Have you ever imagined finding a little piece of Earth on another planet? Well, that's more or less what happened on Mars. The Curiosity rover, which has been exploring the Gale Crater since 2012, found something that excited scientists. A mineral called siderite. So far, so good. But the detail is that this type of rock only forms when you have carbon dioxide, CO2, dissolved in liquid water and in low acidity. In other words, the presence of siderite on Mars indicates that the planet, in the past, had an atmosphere rich in CO2 and liquid water flowing across the surface, essential conditions for what we call habitability. But the most impressive part is that this discovery confirms, for the first time, that Mars had an active carbon cycle. But what is the carbon cycle? On Earth, carbon is constantly moving. It circulates between the atmosphere, the oceans, the soil, and living beings. Volcanoes release CO2, plants absorb this gas during photosynthesis, animals breathe and return CO2 to the atmosphere, and rocks absorb and later release carbon back. This is the carbon cycle, a balanced system that has kept Earth habitable for millions of years. Now, on Mars, things followed a different path. Surface rocks absorbed a lot of carbon, but did not release it back. In other words, CO2 was being sequestered and trapped in rocks without returning to the atmosphere. As a result, the atmosphere became thinner and liquid water began to disappear. This break in the cycle created an imbalance that caused Mars to lose the conditions necessary to sustain life as we know it. And siderite confirms all of this. Scientists discovered that siderite is mixed with rocks rich in sulfates, formations that had already been detected before by the rovers. These sulfates appear in humid environments, and now, with siderite present alongside them, we have the missing piece. Proof that carbon truly circulated on Mars, just as it circulates here on Earth. This cycle not only shows that Mars was habitable, but also helps explain why it stopped being habitable. There was a moment when the balance broke, and that is exactly what scientists are trying to understand today. Why does this matter so much? Because until now, theoretical models said that Mars was habitable, but there was no direct evidence. With siderite, those models have been confirmed. And more than that, now researchers know where to look for more evidence. Since siderite is associated with sulfate-rich regions, future missions can use satellites to identify these areas, and then land new rovers exactly where there is the greatest chance of finding more clues. Curiosity has taken a huge step, and now Perseverance enters the scene, which is in another region of the planet and has a clear mission: to search for signs of past life. The search continues. The story of Mars has been built little by little. First, we discovered dry riverbeds. Then came the confirmation that flowing water once existed. Later, we learned that this water was acidic, and then we began searching for water that would be suitable for life. That's when Curiosity came into action, and it has been revealing, piece by piece, what the Martian environment was like in the past. And now, with the discovery of the carbon cycle, we have the most important piece so far. Mars was habitable. That is a fact. But did it have life? That is the question we still cannot answer. But with every new discovery, we are getting closer to assembling this cosmic puzzle. Just imagine finding traces of life, even if microscopic, on another planet. That would completely change the way we see the universe and ourselves. It would mean that life is not a rare exception, but something that can arise anywhere the conditions are favorable. And more than that, it would raise an even bigger question. If life once existed on Mars and it disappeared, what does that say about our future on Earth? Could our planet, so full of life, also be at risk if it loses its climatic and ecological balance? Mars may be telling us two stories at the same time, one about its past and another about our future. If you enjoy science, space exploration, and want to understand more and more about the universe and the possibility of life beyond Earth, subscribe to the channel because there is still a lot for us to explore together. Thank you very much for watching until here. Thanks, and see you next time.